Today, guys, we're going to be looking at a leak in the back of the cargo area of this Suburban. Should be the same for a Tahoe, a Yukon, or an Escalade. And I started noticing this area here gets wet. And what I noticed is its water's running down this trim panel. And it's damp on the headliner here. And this has just started. This is a 99. It probably just started a few months ago. So I'm going to show you the approach I went to diagnosing and fixing this. What you're going to want to do is there's a Phillips screw in here. And if your leak is like this on the other side, it's just going to be the mirror image. If it's on the passenger side, this is the driver's side. But there's a Phillips screw here, and there's another one right here. Now you could get in here probably with a ratchet, but I don't think we need to remove this one. I think if we just take this one off, it'll be enough to move the trim, and you can see what to do. So let me do that. All right, so I'm just taking this small Phillips head out of here, and that's enough to pull this guy down gently, right? Since if you don't take the bottom one out, just be very gentle. If you move it a little bit, it'll kind of pivot like this, and then you'll be able to get this guy like that. Now, the reason we do this is and again, if you're on the passenger side, it's just a mirror image. We're trying to get up here where we can put our finger where the headliner is and just pull down on it. And what you can see up in here is there's a soldered on rail, a frame rail. A rail of steel that reinforces the roof. And there's one that runs along each side, and then there's one that runs right along the back here. So you don't have direct visibility to the mounting bolts of the center mounted tail stop lamp or the roof rack. But if you look through the hole in this thing, and I don't know if you could see it in the camera, but this hole right here, you'll be able to see it when you have it on your own truck. You can actually see the mounting pins that the screws for the roof rack go into. And if you go take a look down this way, you might be able to see the ones that are they're way over in the center of the vehicle, but this is the direction you look at. Now, what I did to narrow down where this was coming from is I just took some blue paper towel. You want something that's going to discolor when it gets wet, because you might not get out here in time while it's actually wet, so you want something that will discolor when it gets wet. And I literally just folded stuff up like this, and I picked a couple of different points. I put something right here, where my finger is. I put something in this hole that this wiring harness is coming out of. I filled this up with a paper towel. I put another one over in the hole that's in the back of this rail. And I put another one right over here on the far top corner. And what I'm trying to do with that is I'm trying to see, is the water coming down from the center mounted tail lamp? Is the water coming down through that channel that's soldered, this welded on, covering up where the mounts for the roof rack are? Or is the water coming in from the side where the seal around the quarter panel glass is? Now, if we go up on top, I'll show you what I eventually found out. All right, when you get up on the roof, other than finding that you might need to replace your clear coat on the paint, like I noticed, you'll see the center mounted tail lamp, brake lamp, is over here. There's two stainless steel Phillips heads that hold it in, and it's got a gasket that's built into the assembly. Now, this can sometimes be the source of your leak, but what I found out was the piece of paper I had right about here that I showed never got wet, so it wasn't coming from this. And I'd recommend you don't disturb this if it's not leaking, because when you try and take it off, more than likely that gasket is like fused itself to the metal, and when you pull it up, it's probably going to tear anyway. They don't sell the gasket separately at GM or anywhere else. You have to buy a whole new piece to get a new gasket, or you have to try and fabricate something. That wasn't my problem, so I didn't touch it. What I found is when I came over here, and these are your two Torx head bits that are holding the roof rack bracket here, and then there's another two that you come in down through here, and then it continues along the perimeter of this. This seal is part of the quarter panel glass. It is not sold separately. The seal is made onto the glass. So in order to get a new seal, you got to get a whole new piece of glass. And so that's not in the cards either. But what I found was when I added water up around here, I got no leaks. Basically what I did is I let it rain for several days to try and find out which of these paper towels was getting wet. And then after I narrowed that down, I came in with just some water in a used water bottle and tried adding water here and here and right around here. Right around here, and I kept doing this during an afternoon until I found where the paper towel was getting wet. In my case, it was the one that was right on the most outer edge, which made me suspect this seal. So when I took a a putty knife, you take something plastic, you know, this is a plastic version of something you'd apply putty with, and I came down this seal. What I noticed was it doesn't go in. I'm pushing very gently, and when I get right past here, it sinks. And that tells me that the seal is weak there. You know, if I keep doing this, it's weak all along here. I can poke and bury this all the way down in these places. And then when I get back up here, it's not like that anymore until I get to right there. And then when I keep going, it's sealed all the way to the edge. So that told me that the problem is probably somewhere between here or here. Now the way I'm going to tackle fixing this is this product. Permatex makes this flowable silicone. It's basically a clear silicone that's been probably had some extra dissolver in it, I'd say like mineral spirits or something like that, that's going to make it more of a liquidy feel. Now it's not going to come out like water, but it's not going to come out super thick like normal silicone. This is what they make for this purpose. And my approach to this repair is simply to come up here, take this area that we can see is weak, pop it up and squeeze this material into those weak spots, and then tape it down, let it dry in the sun, and see what happens in the next rain. I've already stopped the water from running down to the carpet just by keeping a paper towel in that corner like I showed you until I can get to the point where that paper towel stays dry after a rain. Or, you know, you can come out and do it like this. It just turned out for me that I had about 3 days of solid rain that I was able to zero in on this, do some fine tuning this way. And I've had 3 days with no rain, and it's about to storm this afternoon. So I'm out, you know, getting this done before it storms so I can check the work under the real conditions. A lot of times if you use a garden hose or something like that, you get too high of a volume of water, it'll just whip right over a seam like this and it won't leak. You know, give you, you know, send you down a goose chase trying to find out which one it is. So let me get this guy set up and cut the tip and come back and we'll apply that, and then I'll show you how to clean that up and we'll see if it works. All right, so guys, you can see like the consistency of this. It's not going to be like water. You know, it's still very much an RTV, but it is a lot thinner than what you would get regularly. So I think this is going to work fine. What I'm basically going to do is I'm just going to come down here in the sections that have the problem. It's going to be kind of hard for me to do this and film it, so I'll just kind of show you. I'm going to be going like this, and I'm going to be giving it a squeeze as I work it in where I have the tool. And basically I'm just trying to get it all underneath the seal where I have a gap. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to clean up the overage and then tape it down and let it dry. So let me continue to do that and we'll come back. All right, after you've got it all squeezed in there, I'm just going to take my finger, just like you do it if you're doing this in your bathroom or somewhere else. I'm just going to kind of drag it along here. I've let it sit for probably 5 minutes to try and encourage it to weep into these seams. And then even where it wasn't loose, I've gone over it. Now I've got a rag here with some mineral spirits. If you get this stuff spilled, this is one of the things I find is easiest to clean this stuff up. I'm just going to go down here and get all the overage off. And then what we're going to do is we're going to run some of this painter's tape down to keep it down till it can dry in the sun here today. So with this hot sun beating down on us, I believe this will be dry well before the storm set in later this afternoon. So I'll just continue going this cleanup and we'll come back. All right, guys, if you use enough of the mineral spirits, you just take it lightly over a few times until you can get it where the paint's going to stick. Then you just kind of press it down while you apply this tape. It'll help hold it in position and keep it down so you can get a nice seal as it cures. So we're going to let that go out here in the sun and come back, and we should be in good shape for the next rain. So we'll take it out after we get it dry. Too, I had a little squall come through here after about an hour. I lost track of time. But I'm going to go ahead and pull this tape off that we put on up here. And I'm going to go ahead and have a live test here with the rain. So I've got this sealed. And I went ahead and did it to the other side too, even though it wasn't leaking. Just figure if one side started leaking, then might as well do this side. And then if I pop the hatch here, and then you can walk around here and see what I ended up doing on this piece where I told you you can pull this back. I'm just get my flashlight here. And what I've done is I've gone in here and I've put a couple of these paper towels in here, these blue ones, because when water hits them, they change color. Now it's going to be a good indication. I've already pulled it out once and it's dry, but pulling the tape out will be a better test. And next storm, little squall should come through here in another 15-20 minutes. We'll go ahead and let this run through them all night tonight, and we'll check it in the morning. We'll see if we fix this guy. All right, guys, it rained all night and probably well into the early morning. But now it's a bright, sunny late morning, and most of the water's already dried up. You can just barely see where I did the, I'll call it a mitigation rather than a repair of the silicone after we took the tape off. And now we're going to go check and see, did it actually work? And what I've got is a paper towel that I had put in here, and every time I've done this, it's always come back kind of wet. Now we're going to see how it comes out this time. All right, so that's the first time that I've been able to pull this out of here and not have it be, bright blue and discolored from water damage. So I think this mitigation has worked. You notice I'm kind of straying away from calling it a repair, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But now with it kind of brighter out here compared to when we started the video, let me just get my flashlight. Thought I might try to show you a better view in here of these channels that we were talking about without damaging anything. You can kind of see, hopefully all the way back there, you can see this channel that runs along the left-hand side. There's another one on the right-hand side of the roof. You can kind of see over towards this way where it's possible for the water to come in from the glass and seep in and hit this headliner and kind of percolate here because of this little dip that it has. Then eventually it'll want to run down here and all the way to the floor. So if we take another look on the outside again, back where we're out here, just look at the seal I was mentioning earlier in the video. So this seal is bonded to the glass. You can't replace the seal without replacing the glass. And the whole thing in this model year is glued to the body using 3M urethane adhesive. And so in order to remove this, to try and redo that adhesive, you run a high risk of breaking these quarter-panel glasses, and several of the models you can't even order replacements anymore by this time. So what we're really just trying to do here is mitigate the problem. What's really the real problem is when the water comes in under this seal, it finds a place where the urethane is weak, and more than likely what I suspect happens is during the winter it gets in there, you get a freeze, it expands, it thaws, it expands, it thaws, and it finally manages to compromise the bead and find a way to get in and then find its way over to there. By mitigating this with this silicone seal around here, we're just helping avoid the water getting under the seal in the first place. This seal is normally itself not adhered to the body. The adherence is lower down here all the way around the perimeter. So this seems to have worked. The other thing I did while I was up here is I tightened all of these Torx stainless steel bolts for this luggage rack just to avoid that being a problem in the future. But I consider myself lucky that this mitigation worked and we got rid of this leak. I hope this helps you out if you have a similar one or how to debug yours. If you have some questions, I'll try to help in the comments section. If you found these videos useful, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.